There were two pipelines. They could switch back and forth. They just put the third one in. It's called the integrated pipeline, because that's going to start taking water from Lake Palestine and bringing it to the area as well. We partnered, or TRWD did, of which we're part of that consortium, with Dallas to put a portion of that pipeline in. So we'll have another reservoir that we'll have at our disposal. Besides Arlington, Benbrook, Eagle Mountain, and the ones that are out west as well. So we've got a pretty good water supply right now.
Well, the reason I asked is because you used to list on the water bill annual summary all the chemicals that were considered like arsenic and things like that. And one of the chemicals that you listed, I think, was called atrazine. And that's a byproduct of fertilizer coming from the open country. But that's not listed anymore.
Well, if we don't have it at detection limits, a lot of times we won't print it because it's not necessary that we print things that aren't there. But you're right, atrazine, that's the #1 corn herbicide in the world. And if there was any corn at all, it probably had atrazine on it. Fortunately, atrazine breaks down pretty quickly, and we typically found it in very small amounts. Now we can detect it, but if it's below the detection limit in any given year, we probably won't list it. We're going through that with cyanide right now. Cyanide is found in some years, other years it's not found at all. It just depends, but it's at very, very low levels. So certain times you'll see something one year and you won't see it the next year. It's not that we're not reporting it. Didn't find it at all. Wasn't there.
About that pipeline, the water going into Lake Arlington is put in Village Creek someplace upstream.
Yes, it is.
But the plant, I can't think of the name of it at the moment, the south plant, the pipeline goes directly to it.
Yeah, John Cabala.
Yeah.
John Cabala plant. It does. It goes directly to that plant. And that's the beauty. A lot of people don't realize how well situated Arlington is from water supply, but we're a world-class entertainment venue. You want to make sure that things are going right when you're bringing in Super Bowls and Final Fours and all sorts of concerts and whatnot. We have 2 water plants. A lot of places only have 1. We have 2 supplies. The water line that comes in to the John Cabala plant, and we have Lake Arlington. If it's full, we can run a certain amount of time on Lake Arlington. It's certainly not going to supply all of our needs for a year, but it does give us some ability to switch back and forth, and we do that. Those of you who have been here for a while, you've probably gone through a couple of those taste and odor events, not harmful, an aesthetic parameter, but it's something that primarily affects Lake Arlington, and at certain times of the year. So know what we do now? We don't use Lake Arlington at those times of the year because we have the capability to shift over to John Cabala, and both plants can feed the entire city. If the plant is fully operational and has plenty of water coming into it, it can run the entire city. Not at a peak day, but it could run the city if need be, if one plant went down or the other.
I have a question.
Yes.
2 questions, actually. One, are you selling water to Pantego and down Worthington? And 2, fact or fiction, GM plant has a direct tap into Lake Arlington.
All right, I'll start with the wholesale water sales. Yes, we are selling water, not to Pantego, although we do have an emergency interconnect agreement with them. It's not even in place, the connection, but the connection will be built within the next few months. Selling to Del Worthington Gardens, yes. Selling to Bethesda Water Supply Corporation, down towards Alvarado, that area, we're selling to them. Soon to sell to Kennedale as well. Why are we doing that? We have excess capacity. We built, as Arlington was just going like that, and it's tough to figure out, what the water needs are going to be in the future. 2 things kind of hit us here. Water saving devices, washers, shower heads, dishwashers, all use less water. Plus, people are a lot wiser. we're seeing the per capita. That means how much water each individual uses each day. The per capita water use go down. Across the board, people are using less water on a daily basis. So we've got some bricks and mortar capacity. What better way to deal with that than monetizing? Because that accrues to you, the customer. And it's a zero-sum game, because quite frankly, what we sell to Dalworthington Gardens or Kennedale, Fort Worth doesn't have to. And we're both taken from the same straw. So it's a matter of they sell it or we sell it, but it's not a strain on the system. So that's why we're doing that. The other question, but for General Motors, you wouldn't have Lake Arlington. Lake Arlington was built basically for them. And yes, a pipeline was run all the way out to GM. Are they the sole person on it? No. Maybe it started that way. It's not that way now. Largest customer that we have though. But yes, it was started because our mayor was a visionary and saw that, hey, we could get a GM production plant here, but they didn't have enough water supply. So he committed to building Lake Arlington and getting them a line out there. Bingo. It's the #1 profit center. Approximately 50% of GM profits come from that plant. It's where they make all of their big automobiles or SUVs and yeah, the Escalades and things of that nature are built here in Arlington. So
How do they pay for that water? Do they pay for it, or?
tell you the truth, I don't know. My guess is it was probably some sort of economic development deal where they said, you know, we'll look at you bringing in the houses, the taxes, what have you. But I don't know, it was in the 50s at some
But
point.
you don't get paid anything. I mean, the water utility doesn't get anything from General Motors, right?
Well, for the water and sewer that the water that they use and the sewer that we take away from them, yeah, we get paid for that. Yeah, absolutely.
That's processed water, correctly?
Pardon me?
That is goes through the water purification plant. That's not raw water going out there.
Right, right, no. There's no one that gets raw water except Lake Arlington Golf Course, and we charge them a raw water rate. But no one gets raw water anymore. Everybody pays for that. Yes, sir?
How many employees does the water department have?
We got about 196. Yeah, and if you look at the number of customers per employee, that's kind of a benchmark. Typically, for a utility of our size, it's about 1,000. I'm sorry, it's about 500 for a utility of our size. We're at about 1,000. So we have a lot more customers per employee than a utility of our size. And that's one of the metrics we benchmark ourselves against, like Fort Worth or Dallas or whoever else is measured around here. San Antonio I know does, and then I think Austin is part of that group as well. So we benchmark against them. And we still have the lowest rates in the Metroplex on water. I won't say the sewer because we don't compare sewer. Water is seems to be the hot button. That's the one we compare. We are the lowest rates. And that's as of this month. We just got the survey and we still are the lowest rate. Very proud of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You got my contact information or the department's contact information. Give us a holler at any given time. We're there to help.
Thank you.